Hi, I'm Anthony O'Carr from Metro Trains Train Services. Today we're doing a train talk video. On this video you'll find some key stakeholders who are going to give you a lot of information about what's happening here at CTD.
Hi, I'm Stacey Bonfield, train driver at Metro Trains, and we're here today at Murrumbeena to look at the CTD project. So Tony, why have the gantry cranes been placed here at Murrumbeena?
Murrumbeena is a pivotal point or location for the CTD project. We're using a gantry crane and a straddle carrier as opposed to traditional lifting methods for the elevated rail sections. CTD 9 is 9 level crossings that are going to be removed and 5 brand new stations. It's actually broken up into 3 areas, areas 1, 2 and 3. We are currently in area 1 and it's the core area. Area 2 and 3 further down the line. CTD have actually taken over the car park here and they're shipping in the segments and they're actually putting them together here. That's when the straddle carrier and the gantry crane lift them onto the viaduct, which is just behind us, and takes them down and up the corridor.
With more on that, here's Andrew Manser.
So my name is Andrew Manser. I'm responsible for the supervision of the gantry crane and the straddle carrier construction and the building of the rail viaducts in the Murrumbeena area. We are using specific construction methods here because we're working adjacent to the busiest rail corridor in Melbourne, which is the Caulfield to Dandenong line. And the methods we are using reduces the time where we're actually building adjacent to the rail. The construction method starts with the delivery of the individual segments off to the side of the rail corridor. We also fully build the spans on the ground, so they are assembled into one unit, they are stressed and they are checked that they are ready for lifting prior to being erected adjacent to the rail line. They are then picked up with the gantry cranes and placed on the elevated rail deck, and they're transported with the straddle carrier to the support beam.
The support beam's part of the straddle carrier. It's used to extend out past the straddle carrier and helps with placing the elevated sections onto the piers. This is an Australian first. As drivers realise, we're actually building this around them in this corridor, and it's quite innovative how we're actually doing it. So we're able to run services for our passengers and still keep it very safe with this high-tech equipment.
Okay, let's hear from Hubert Bauer with more on the straddle carrier.
My name is Hubert Bauer. I'm in Melbourne to assemble a straddle carrier. I'm working in the industry around 43 years and on special equipment since 1981. But the last 13 years I was in Hong Kong on Stonecutter Bridge. I built the Stonecutter Bridge and Zhuhai-Macao Bridge, Hong Kong Zhuhai-Macao Bridge. Before I was in Taiwan 4 years for the high-speed rail. The straddle carrier will run on the guideline. 2 operators in the cabin, one is in the master cabin, one is in the slave cabin. So the carrier cannot go to the left and to the right. The straddle carrier looks very huge, but it is very safe.
The straddle carrier has a guidance system which allows the operator to control forward and reverse motions without needing to steer down the deck. We also have 2 operators which can stop the operation of the carrier at any time, and the carrier operates at a slow walking pace, allowing it to stop within 1 second.
So Tony, how will the use of these cranes impact drivers?
So the gantry crane, which was the first piece of equipment that was installed here at Murrumbeena, is actually right behind us. It's 30 metres high, 40 metres across, and that's actually used to pick up the straddle carrier and place it on top of the viaducts.
And how fast will the straddle carrier move?
The straddle carrier moves at around 2.5 kilometres an hour. So drivers from the ground will probably not notice it moving. It actually takes 6 to 8 hours to actually load up an elevated section and place on the viaduct.
Okay, is this all happening as trains are running through?
Yes, it is. So with the movement of the straddle carrier on the viaduct, we will be moving it along the viaduct whilst trains are actually operating. And it's actually an Australian first.
Okay, so that's all great information, but what will drivers actually see?
we'll still have the same amount of people working alongside the corridor, and eventually a lot of that work will then migrate to the top sections.
And what's the difference between how things are operating here and how they'll be doing it further down at Clayton area?
So Clayton and Noble Park are often referred to as areas 2 and 3, and this area here is area 1. Due to the restricted corridor here, drivers have probably noticed that the piers are on either side of the corridor. When we go out to areas 2 and 3, Noble Park and Clayton, we're able to actually build the elevated section on the downside of the corridor. Because it's nice and open out in those locations, we can use traditional building methods to raise all the infrastructure. However, here at Murrumbeena, obviously being so tight, we're going to have to use the straddle carrier, which actually operates alongside the corridor whilst trains are running.
Thanks, Tony. Let's hear more from Project Manager Paul Boyd.
My name is Paul Boyd. I'm the Construction Interface Manager for Metro. So the main impact of working in such a narrow rail corridor is that we have to construct relatively close to live train running. Part of my role is to ensure that this construction is done safely and that it does not affect the operation of trains. I do this in combination with network safety to ensure that all the activities that we do are safe and appropriate. In this project, you would have seen two distinctly different construction methodologies. Between Caulfield and Hughesdale, the viaduct is constructed using box girders. Outside this area, the viaduct is constructed using super T-beams. You can note the difference because in the T-beam section, everything is craned in. In the box section, it's using a special machine to install the viaduct sections. The reason behind this is that in the super T-beam areas, we have a lot more room we can fit the cranes in. In the narrower area, between Caulfield and Hughesdale, we have to use a special machine because we simply can't fit the cranes in.
Now, is this going to be safe for drivers driving underneath as this is happening?
Good question. Here at Murrumbeena, we're actually constructing a debris deck, and this will be made up of a concrete section which actually sits above Murrumbeena Station, and also a fine steel mesh section which is on the down end of Murrumbeena Station. And it's used to ensure that anything on the gantry crane that comes loose, say a piece of tool or a nut or a bolt, whatever it may be, doesn't actually fall and land on the tracks.
And here's more from Alex Mutafis.
Some of the other key risk items would be the plant and train interaction through those tight corridors and how that's managed from a day-to-day perspective. The way we generally look at that is that we delve into the desktop assessment, having a look at the general access packs, construction methodologies, safe work method statements, everything essentially that forms part of that work pack. Some of the specific risks would be that potential for train and plant interaction is a huge one. So we've got many different controls for that. So you will see delineation fencing running through our corridor. You'll also see TFPCs or track force protection coordinators out patrolling and ensuring that we're capturing the right levels of controls from a safe working perspective. And we've also got OSOs to ensure that we're protecting our plant operators and our staff from the overhead lines as well. We are operating trains on this network right next to construction activities, so critical that we get it right.
And what can drivers expect to see as the project continues?
Well, obviously we're going to actually see more piers being put in place, and we're moving along just nicely with that. With the elevated sections, or the sky rail sections as people often refer it to, they'll start to come in play. The straddle carrier will actually start operating in July, and we expect to have the whole project finished by mid to late 2018.
Will there be any issues with sighting of signals as we're driving along? Any distractions, anything that we aren't currently experiencing?
The Signal Sighting Committee is working very closely with the project managers here on site, and we've captured those sort of problems early on the piece.
And of course, signalling is very important. It's our bread and butter. So let's hear more about that from Josh Reynolds.
Some of the challenges we face every day on the civil side is working the existing infrastructure, digging and operating beside live infrastructure that is operational and in place as we are working. So if we damage that infrastructure, that will stop trains, slow down trains, which is something we definitely do not want to do. Also, we are digging beside live HV, which is high voltage cables that is in operation right now. We have to make sure we do our due diligence to make sure we do not hit that HV, because that can be fatal.
For us drivers, we need to know the operation times for the straddle carrier. For the first period of works, it will operate at the station precinct between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. In the rail corridor, it will operate from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and occasionally until midnight, if the carrier is returning to the station. The straddle carrier will also operate at night when spans are being placed across roads. So this is quite a big structure. When are we actually going to be seeing the straddle carrier operating?
So we're looking at having the straddle carrier operating around about July, and we're going to have obviously some station closures which will impact us a little bit. Station closures of Carnegie, we're looking at August, and also later on we're looking at Hughesdale being shut down and demolished.
Okay, and where will the new Hughesdale station be placed?
Well, that'll be part of the new elevated rail, and that'll be between mid to late 2018. Hi, I'm Anthony Akar.
Oh, come on, I can't do it again. I keep forgetting what I'm supposed to say.
Hi, I'm Anthony Akar from Metro Trains.
Hi, I'm Stacey, but you forgot to say what your job is.
Of the rail line, which wouldn't, start again.
Okay, and when can drivers start expecting to see the straddle?
So to start off with, I'm based in Hong Kong.
Yeah, okay.
So Tony, can you give us a bit of an overview?
That was really good.
Issues or accidents. Sorry, that's shocking.
That was
Yeah, it's a lot harder than I thought.
You're doing really
Hi, I'm Stacey Bonfield, train driver.
Let's do that again.
Did you like that?
That was good though.
And maintain it safely, and that is.
Okay, and how does the straddle carrier and gantry carrier work?
You said it, didn't you?
Is that we can put run off it. Can I start again?
Yeah, that was good though.
You can edit it in, can't I? Do you have to start from the beginning again?
Ah!
From there?
Less
Okay, it's okay to be okay. Stop doing the funny faces.